Didn't they impeach the last guy over this? President Biden vowing to withhold weapons from Israel if it invades the final Hamas stronghold of Rafah.
I made it clear that if they go into Rafah, they haven't gone into Rafah yet. If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah, to deal with the cities, to deal with that problem. We're going to continue to make sure Israel is secure in terms of Iron Dome and their ability to respond to attacks like came out of the Middle East recently. But it's just wrong. We're not going to supply the weapons and the artillery shells used that have been used.
Artillery shells as well.
Yeah, artillery shells.
Joe Biden bowing to the intifada for imbeciles doesn't come as a total shock. Last week, he paused a shipment of bombs to Israel, which means the White House was trying to hide that decision from the public, while Joe was giving his big Holocaust Remembrance Day speech. Doug Burgum knows a snake when he sees one. He and the GOP are letting it rip on Biden.
We've always had a rule, which is don't negotiate with terrorists, but Joe Biden has gone way beyond that. He's actually negotiating for the terrorists.
Mr. President, if you do not change this policy, you will have destroyed the last best chance to deliver lasting stability in the Mideast for generations.
It would also, I have to add, be grounds for impeachment under the Democrats' Trump-Ukraine standard, withholding foreign aid to help one's reelection. Only with Joe Biden, it's true.
It's an interesting point, Dana. I'm sure we're going to get ready for but this is different defense, but it is different in that it's actually worse, than what Trump supposedly did.
The depth of this betrayal is being felt across America and certainly with Israel and our allies. And the big question right now is, can the Biden White House is going to have to answer this? How is eliminating any strategic leverage on Israel's behalf going to help get the hostages home? Mm-hmm. Speaking of hostages, we'd bring them up. President Biden does an interview with Aaron Burnett at CNN. He doesn't bring them up. When the White House is asked about it, they said, well, she didn't ask. Is that what it takes? Mm-hmm. Is that to have it? Oh, well, if it takes a reporter asking you to talk about the hostages, I guess we'll never hear it because you don't do very many interviews, though we did the one with Aaron Burnett. Right after Israel's September 11th, October 7th, right after that, I think on October 8th, Joe Biden said Hamas is equal to ISIS. And ISIS had to be eliminated. Trump did that. Israel wants to eliminate Hamas in an area that's this big. Mm-hmm. And they're asking for strategic, targeted weapons to do that work, while they are also being on the hook to provide all the food, water, and humanitarian aid to the country that is harboring the terrorists. And the people of Palestine, the Palestinians, if you worry about them, they're the ones being used as human shields by Hamas. And nobody's pressuring Hamas. When I heard Biden say that yesterday, I actually yelped. I couldn't believe that he actually did it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they hid it until after the Holocaust speech is not to be forgotten.
That's what I was going to ask you about, Judge. It was like, do they think we're that stupid that, if we do this speech at the Holocaust Museum, they won't notice our actual deeds?
And that's exactly what they did. I think I talked about this yesterday or the day before. He's nothing but a vessel that comes out and says whatever they tell him to say. But when you catch him off guard when he doesn't have a speech to read, he says, I condemn those who don't understand the Palestinians. Look, do you remember when Donald Trump was president and everyone was running around saying, he's throwing our allies under the bus. How dare he demand that our NATO partners pay their way? He's destroying us in the world. Well, the truth is, we just threw our closest ally under the bus to appease these green-haired freaks and these climate wackos who stick their hands on the asphalt. And the truth is that Biden has to explain why it's okay to kill 138 Americans and have 5 American hostages that we know of, behead babies, burn women, literally decimate them sexually, and then prevent our allies from going against and taking out the justified war that they have and the retaliation that they have. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Israel isn't allowed to fight the war that it should be fighting. Who is he to make that decision? Who is Joe Biden to tell the Israelis who live in, as he calls it, Netanyahu, a neighborhood where everybody wants them dead? How dare he do that? And you know what? The Palestinians, I'm tired of this. They overwhelmingly not only voted Hamas in, they overwhelmingly support Hamas. And to think that, oh, we're really protecting them and all that nonsense. No, what we're trying to do and what Israel is trying to do is defend itself from those who attack them. They started this.
Richard, the judge mentions the protesters. Why did he do this? Was this a response to the protesters? What do you think? Why would he do this? Why would he withhold this?
I don't think it's a response to the protesters, but I do think the fact pattern, just like the last segment, I think actually matters here. I think what you've seen since October 7th is a president and a Defense Department and a State Department that has been very supportive of Israel, to the fact that it cost it's the opposite of where a lot of his young base is. A recent Harvard poll found that a majority of young people want a ceasefire now.
But what do they know about protecting?
No, listen,
people?
but wait, hold on a second, Dana. And I'm not. And the president's been the opposite side of that. I think what the president's saying here very clearly is the Netanyahu government and the Israeli government can continue to do whatever they would like to do when it comes to protecting and defending themselves. But what he won't allow is for U.S. arms to be part of it, because how he sees it is there has been a lot of civilian casualties in the Gaza, and he thinks that those civilian casualties are too much. That's his particular prerogative. Don't get me wrong. I think we can all agree at this table that Hamas is a terrorist organization. They've inflicted sexual crimes, death, both on Palestinians as well as on Israelis. I call them that. But we could also say that there has been a lot of civilian casualties in the Gaza.
That's what happens in war. It happened in Germany. It happened in Japan.
But it doesn't make it right, Judge Janine.
Well, but it doesn't mean that Israel cannot defend itself.
Killing children who didn't have a chance to vote for Hamas 17 years ago is not right.
There's nothing you can do about it when Hamas is using them.
Right.
I don't agree. I don't deny that, but it doesn't mean that we should bomb them.
Well, we're going to have to
when
do
Rafah is the only safe place they can
Hamas.
go to in this moment.
The blood is on Hamas's hands.
I don't deny that.
Jesse, what is your fact pattern?
May I try to answer the question that Richard was trying to answer? This battle in Rafah is going to be ugly. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows it's going to be disgusting. But by not going into Rafah, it's going to get uglier, because you're going to allow Hamas to reconstitute, and then you're going to have another October 7th. Joe Biden's calculation is, I don't want my fingerprints on the final siege in Rafah. Because why again? He sponsored this war. This is his proxy war. Joe Biden is the lead ally. He visited Israel like 2 days after the attack. He lobbied Congress to get the money out of the door. He told 60 Minutes, yes, the goal, and I share it, is the complete elimination of Hamas. Yep. And all of a sudden, he's going to say, oh, you know what? This is going to buy me some credit with the Arab street or the college campus.
I don't think it's about that.
I mean, come on. There's no way he's going to buy any goodwill by this last-second PR stunt. And it's a stunt, Richard. You know why? Because Israel's still going to go in, and they're still going to finish the job.
I think the Netanyahu government is going to go in.
The worst part about this is
civilian casualties is just going to be too much for the American public to bear.
I understand there's civilian casualties, and that's horrible. But what message does this send to our allies?
Yep.
That we don't have an ironclad alliance now with the United States. As long as there's political pressure put on the commander-in-chief. Horrible. Also, our foes. Now they know that they can play up civilian casualties, and they can launch campus protests here domestically, and that can put the heat on the commander-in-chief. It's a terrible situation.
You know, Bob Gates is the one who said that Joe Biden has never made a foreign policy decision that was appropriate or accurate. And this is more proof of it. He's clueless.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.